The wait is over. The day is finally upon us. Riyadh season, Noche UFC 306, Mexican Independence Day weekend this Saturday night, Las Vegas, Nevada at the Sphere. Two title fights, a plethora of Mexican talent throughout this entire fight card. And we will kick it off with the two championship fights at the top of the bill. First, the Bantamweight Championship of the World. Sean O'Malley will look to defend his title for the second time against Merab Dvalishvili. And in the co-main event, the trilogy, the rivalry will come to an end. Alexa Grasso defends the women's flyweight title against former champion Valentina Shevchenko. Let's talk about these two title fights, what we can expect on this legendary, historic evening, and we start with the Bantamweight Gold. It seems fitting that one of the biggest cards in UFC history is going to be headlined by one of the biggest stars in UFC history in Sugar Sean O'Malley, the bantamweight champion of the world, successfully defended his championship for the first time in 2024 back in March at UFC 299, where he beat his rival Marlon Cheeto Vera over the course of 25 minutes. And I emphasize that 25 minutes because up until then, we had not seen Sean have to go into those championship rounds. We haven't seen him go to rounds 4 and round 5. And now we know that from minute 1 to minute 25, his same volume, his same output, his same accuracy and timing will be there for the entirety of a championship fight. And against someone like Merab, that is an absolute machine, nickname intended there, he will need every bit of that striking prowess. Sean is an OG of Dana White Contender Series, quite literally almost the oldest OG that you can have, dating back to Season 1 in 2017. Episode 2 is where we first saw him rise to the occasion and be announced on the scene by Snoop Dogg himself.
Three-piece dinner with biscuits. O'Malley! 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 Oh, yeah! O'Malley!
And from there, a star was born. We saw the lone hiccup back in the fall of 2020, where he did lose to Marlon Cheeto Vera. Since then, has righted the wrongs. A little shaky here and there. Maybe some performances that a lot of people weren't too high on. A no contest against the likes of Pedro Munoz. But we go to the Petr Yan fight in October of 2022. That is when he announced that he is here as a legitimate threat and one of the best bantamweights in the world. We saw him go toe-to-toe for 15 minutes in a very, very close split decision. Could have gone either way, but by no means a robbery. He gets it done, and he hopscotches the entire bantamweight rankings all the way into a title shot the following August of 2023 against Aljamain Sterling, who is friend and training partner of Merab. We saw Sean make quick work of the champion Aljo by knocking him out 51 seconds into the second round to become the bantamweight champion of the world. Turned it around back in March with the fight that I already alluded to in that rematch with Marlon Cheeto Vera, where he put on an absolute clinic for the entirety of that fight, beat Marlon from pillar to post. Somehow, someway, Marlon didn't even fall down, didn't go away, didn't get finished. That just speaks to the toughness and durability that we already knew Cheeto possessed. And Sean proved that night that he can shine in any circumstances, whether it be a 2-minute fight where he gets a quick knockout or a 25-minute war where he beats his opponent from minute 1 to minute 25. And now he is here to face maybe his toughest test so far in Merab Dvalishvili, who is on an insane win streak. As a matter of fact, has not lost since 2018. Merab started his UFC career 0-2 on the chopping block in just his third UFC fight. And how does he respond to that pressure? He tallies off not 1,
Not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7.
10 straight victories in a row for Merab, September 2018 to February 2024. Most recently, a dominant decision over former Olympic gold medalist, former two-weight world champion in the UFC, Henry Cejudo. He did that back in February at UFC 298. Before that, he puts on an amazing 25-minute performance over Petr Yan, and again, emphasis on the 25 minutes because both of these combatants that are competing for the championship have shown that they can do what they do best for 25 minutes in a championship style fight. For Sean, he did it against Marlon Vera, where he proved that he can keep his striking going from minute 1 to minute 25. For Merab, he showed that his pressure, his pace, and his wrestling / grappling can hold true from minute 1 to minute 25. Now they will come together. Whose strengths will shine the brightest? And over the course of this 10-fight win streak for Merab, he's gotten it done over very prominent names. Yes, a lot of decisions in there, but every single one of those, or at least almost every single one of those, have been absolutely one-way traffic. But the fight and the performance and the victory that really catapulted Merab into the mainstream of the MMA community, into the casual audience even of the MMA community, was when he had that war with Marlon Moraes in September of 2021, where in the first round, he was all but knocked out flat on the canvas, somehow, some way survives and advances to round 2, where he completely turns the tide and finishes former title challenger Marlon Moraes. Then he went on to beat one of the best of all time, Jose Aldo, and from there, the Yan and Cejudo wins that we already talked about. So this resume that Merab has built over the last 6 years is second to none right now in the UFC, and it is one of the longest active win streaks in the UFC and in bantamweight history. And he will put the win streak on the line against one of the biggest stars in the sport today, Sugar Sean O'Malley. A rivalry that runs pretty deep, right? We talked about how did Sean become the champion? By not only beating, but knocking out longtime friend, longtime training partner, and even cornerman of Merab and Aljamain Sterling. So not only is Merab looking to take the title from Sean O'Malley, not only is he looking to extend his win streak to 11, he is looking to avenge the loss of his brother in Aljamain Sterling. The storylines are aplenty, and the X's and O's make it even more intriguing. This is quite literally a striker versus a grappler. Sean O'Malley, one of the most precise technical strikers that we've seen over the last decade in the UFC, has very powerful shots, one punch knockout power, even down at 135 pounds. But it's not only the power, it's the precision, it's the timing, much like the likes of a young Conor McGregor. And for Merab, he averages per 15 minutes 6.43 takedowns, an absolutely mind-boggling number. And to make it even more of a crazy stat, his takedown accuracy is only labeled as 36%, yet he averages 6 takedowns per fight, which means he is shooting for an absolutely astronomical amount of takedowns every single fight that he has. Will he do the same here against Sean O'Malley? And if he does, will Sean O'Malley's 62% takedown defense come into play? Because I do believe he has some sneaky good takedown defense, but is that sneaky defense going to be enough to really fend off one of the most dominant grapplers in recent memory? And it's not only the grappling and the wrestling that gets the job done for Merab, it's the output and the pressure. He forces his opponents to fight backwards, on their back foot, backs against the cage. For a guy like Sean O'Malley, who's going to be the much larger fighter in this fight, 5 inches taller, 4-inch reach advantage. He loves managing the distance and sniping his opponents. See the knockout over Sterling. But if he doesn't have that space here against Merab, what will he be able to do? Can he get the short boxing range, dirty boxing, phone booth boxing strikes to be successful against Merab? Can he fend off takedowns? Can he keep his back off the fence? If he answers yes to all of those questions, if he can keep this fight standing and at a distance, not just standing, but at a distance on the feet, that is where I feel Sean can really take away his biggest moments of success and potentially even find a finish. But it's going to not be easy because Merab can eat shots. Again, go back to the Marlon Moraes fight where he was all but knocked out and somehow manages to survive and win that fight. Will he be able to eat the clean shots if they land from Sean O'Malley? That's a different question. This fight is such an incredible main event to headline an amazing, amazing night here in the Sphere for Noche UFC 306. I am so pumped for not only this fight, but for the entire card, the production surrounding it. Everything is just unfathomable as a fight fan. It's something we've never seen before, may never see again, as Dana has alluded that this is a one of one, and now it is all but done. There's no more talking. There's no more previewing. It is time to sit down on Saturday night and see who leaves the Sphere as the bantamweight champion of the world. Will it be Sean O'Malley going 2-0 against the Sarah Longo gym, now with Sterling and Merab? Or will it be Merab extending his legendary win streak, avenging his partner Aljamain Sterling, and becoming the bantamweight champion of the world, the first to do it that hails from the country of Georgia? It's going to be an electric night of fights. I'm recording this on Wednesday before the press conference, before the weigh-ins, so I'm sure there is still drama to be had, but I hope you did enjoy this main event preview, and please let me know your comments and your predictions in the comments below. And from the main event title fight, we jump into the co-main event because we have another title on the line. It is the rivalry, it is the trilogy, it is the women's flyweight world title. Alexa Grasso, the champion, will look to keep that belt wrapped around her waist. To do so, she will have to beat one of the most dominant female fighters in UFC history for a second time, Valentina Shevchenko. March 4th, 2023 is where we saw these two ladies meet for the very first time, and that is where we saw one of the biggest upsets in women's mixed martial arts history when Alexa Grasso got a submission in round number 4 to dethrone the long-reigning Valentina Shevchenko. Then we see them get matched up a second time last September on the Noche UFC fight card, and they fight to a 25-minute draw, an all-timer for women's mixed martial arts in the UFC. One of the best fights of 2023, one of the best fights of all time for women's MMA. They go toe-to-toe, 25 minutes, striking, grappling, clinch work, everything you can imagine in an MMA fight, and it's only fitting that, of course, it goes to a draw, meaning that this rivalry had to see a third fight, and of course, had Valentina won, we would have got a trilogy as well. So really the only outcome last year that would have not ended up where we are today was a second Alexa Grasso victory, but now we are here, and some may say, and now that it's popped into my head, I may say, if Valentina wins here, then it's 1-1-1. Then we get a quadrilogy like Brandon Moreno, Davis, and Figueiredo. I'll hold that discussion for Monday. We have a 31-year-old champion in Alexa Grasso who has not lost since moving to the flyweight division at 125 pounds. She's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight fights, and then the draw last year against Valentina, because before that, she was kind of win one, lose one in the strawweight division. When she entered the UFC in 2016 from Invicta, Alexa had a lot of hype behind her, a lot of potential that people were looking for her to capitalize on. But like I said, losses to Felice Herrig, then she'd win. Then she loses to Tatiana Suarez, then she'd win. But then she loses to Carla Esparza. But the move to 125 completely changed the trajectory of Alexa's career, and now she's one of the best women's fighters in the sport today, and she will look to continue building her resume, to continue building her legacy if she can beat Valentina Shevchenko a second time and put this rivalry to bed. And for the 36-year-old Valentina Shevchenko, what more can be said? We know how legendary of a career she's had, a certified first ballot Hall of Famer, a longtime competitor in the women's bantamweight division where she only saw defeat twice, both of those times against Amanda Nunes, one of which was for the Bantamweight Championship of the World, many of whom, including myself, think she even won that second fight and should have become the champion down at 135. But after that loss in 2017, Valentina decided to move down to 125. That is kind of when the division became a new division. It started with that season of The Ultimate Fighter where Nico Montano became the inaugural champion. We know that she was the champion and never defended that belt. It became vacant. Valentina just took over in the 125-pound division. So since 2018, she's been competing at 125 pounds, and this was the insane stretch that she went on. She won the title in December of 2018 against Joanna Jędrzejczyk, a fight that a lot of people forget about. High level to its core, one of the best women's fights of all time as well. Common occurrence, Joanna, Valentina, they're going to be involved in one way or another. She then went on to defend her title a whopping 7 straight times, numerous finishes in there, numerous dominant one-way traffic victories that went the distance. But then we go to June of 2022, and that's kind of when everything changed for Valentina, because she went up against Talia Santos, who is now in the PFL and going to be competing for their women's flyweight title against Dakota Ditcheva in November. But that's a preview for the fall. In that fight, we saw a very, very close fight that went the full 25 minutes, that went to a split decision where a lot of people, again, including myself, felt that Talia Santos did enough to get the job done and dethrone Valentina. And then Valentina would go on to face, in March of 2023, Alexa Grasso. And we know what happened there. The rest is history. So really, this stretch of the last 2 years for Valentina has been a little murky. We have a questionable victory, we have a loss, and then we have a draw in the fall of 2023. So now here in the trilogy against Alexa, Valentina is really trying to turn back the clock and prove to people that she is still one of, if not the best fighters in women's MMA today. Can she do that? That's the question. Can she turn the clock back? Does she have enough tools in the toolbox to fend off someone in Alexa that is just now really entering their prime, coming into their all? One of the best strikers and pure boxers that we've seen in the UFC women's divisions is Alexa Grasso. And Valentina, just in terms of a well-rounded mixed martial artist, one of the best of all time. These two have spent nearly 40 minutes together inside of the octagon. They've quite literally seen everything that each other have to offer. So how will they fare now in the trilogy matchup? Just think back to one of the most recent trilogies we had with Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic. A knockout for DC in the first fight, a knockout for Stipe in the second, and in that third fight, it goes the full 25 minutes where someone just had to prove they were the better fighter, and Stipe was able to do so over the course of that prolonged fight. Will we see that here in this one? Will someone finally be able to just capitalize and realize, okay, I know what to do to find success. I've seen enough of you, whether it's Valentina saying that about Alexa, Alexa saying that about Valentina. Have they made the proper adjustments that make them feel confident enough that they can pull away minute by minute, round by round? I think we could be in for an all-time bout here, something that really makes this trilogy go down in the history books. It already is there because of the way Alexa got the title. You add in the amazing fight they had last fall. I have high expectations for this trilogy bout because the future of women's flyweight begins this Saturday night. We know all of the young up-and-comers that we have. I just did a big clip about this division a couple of days ago. Rose Namajunas is fighting Erin Blanchfield. Manon Fiorot is waiting in the wings to fight the winner of this. We have Natalia Silva and Macy Barber, both on insane win streaks right now. This division is on fire, but that means that we need this rivalry to come to a close. We need to turn the page and get in to the next chapter for this division as we head into 2025, and it starts and ends here at Noche UFC. So please be sure to give me all of your thoughts, all of your opinions, and your predictions for the 2 championship fights for this card. Will Sean O'Malley remain and still? Will Merab become and new and extend his win streak? And for this one here, the co-main event, the biggest women's flyweight fight in the history of the UFC, Valentina, can she turn back the clock and become a 2-time champion? Or will Alexa put the rivalry to bed and begin the next chapter for the women's flyweight division. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Every single week, I will break down the biggest storylines and what is at stake heading into every card. I recap the most meaningful results following every single card each weekend, and I give my thoughts and opinions on MMA news and fight announcements. You can join the community on social media at the BAJ MMA, and you can follow along on your favorite audio platforms such as Spotify and Apple. Podcast episodes released there every Friday and Monday. Enjoy the fights this weekend, and I will see you in the next video.